Welcome to the 2023 Mastercam Rollout. My name is Patrick with the support team at Prototech Engineering. This section is going to be our workflow and design enhancements for Mastercam 2023. We'll take a quick look at a quick PowerPoint, and then we'll get into some Mastercam files to show you the new functionality. So let's go ahead to my PowerPoint first. So now that we're in our Mastercam screen, I'm going to show you some of this new functionality. And just to kind of give you a little bit more on the zip2go since it's such a big change, is you can access zip2go here or through File. So if I go to zip2go here, we can go to our Create. And as soon as we go to Create, obviously you're going to have your different options here. And these will add files or get rid of files. So typically what we're going to want to see here is pretty much what we want is not the operation library, but part files we typically want, machine def, control def, post files. Tool libraries usually aren't too important to us. Mill-turn machine environments if we're dealing with mill-turns, and then we don't need material files. So once we select them, we're going to see a bunch in this list here, and we can hit next here or we can start to remove here. So once I go to here, we could add files or folders if we had additional. Otherwise, everything that we don't really want are these text files, workspace files we really don't want, config files, any INI files. So these could just be eliminated as we work our way up. And a lot of this stuff we don't need, and it's just going to complicate stuff. So right now, with removing that, now I have an MMD, a control, and a post file with my Mastercam file. And if I were to finish this out, now it's going to prompt me to save this. Just know where it's saving it, and save as type. We will prefer zip. It's not going to be a big deal if we don't get a zip, but we prefer zip. It makes life a lot easier on our side. So keep that in mind when you're making these to get support from Prototech. One of the other changes here I want to show is I'm going to draw a quick polygon on the screen, and it's preview AutoCursor points. So I'm going to go and draw a line, and once I get over these entities, you'll see that I get squares in the middle and on the ends on every entity. That just helps me visualize, go to them areas. So it's easier to take my mouse to that spot and then draw a line. Take my mouse to that endpoint and draw a line. That's really all that preview AutoCursor points is doing. But it is a subtle small change that I really like because some people, when you're trying to train, have a hard time understanding, where am I going, to get to this center section, so that may help people that have a hard time finding that. As far as the 3D or 2D prints, I should say, or PDF files, merging it in is pretty cool. Now let me get rid of a couple of these view sheets here. So I'm just going to go back to a setup where I only have one view sheet in the center here, sitting down here. Now I want to merge in some PDF files, 2D prints of this job here. So I have a impeller part that I'm going to be cutting, a twin impeller, and I want to embed the 2D PDF file right into the Mastercam file. Where that's going to be nice is then I don't need to print it off. I can have it right into the Mastercam file. It saves with the file, and it's easily viewed with the view sheet on the bottom if I tell it to merge view sheet. So I'm going to go ahead up to File, and I'm going to go to Merge. And I already have this drawing here, and it's just PDF form, and I'm going to go ahead and open that. Now with the options here, you're going to have some level management, and you're also going to have this one here. It says View Sheets, Merge View Sheets. If I do that, it'll automatically merge my PDF prints into view sheets on the bottom of my screen. So if I go ahead and green check here, and I'm going to turn this impeller off so we can see. Now down on the bottom of my screen, I have page 1. Is an isometric view. All of my information would be here. And page 2 is my actual print with all my information and all my dimensions that I can view right inside my file. So this is kind of nice. It just embeds it right into the file. And by merging my view sheets on the bottom, I didn't have to do anything. It already organized it for me. So I can just go back to these. I can bookmark these also. Like my bottom now is a print. which I probably didn't want potentially. Page 1, if I right click, I can save view sheet bookmark, and then it'll always stay that way. Or if I wanted to go to an isometric view on this one maybe, and now if I save that bookmark, now page 2 is the way I left it. Maybe I want this one in the top. I can right click there, save view sheet bookmark. So if I go back there and go back to there, now they retain them views for me. So that is pretty nice as far as workflow, and that's what we're kind of worried about here. What we can do is we can also make groups out of view sheets. So what I can do is I can go up to group and go to a new group. And I'm going to call this group 2D prints. And I'm going to leave it a blue color. And what I can do is now I can take this and I can group 2 2D prints. I can take this one and group to 2D prints and group this one to 2D prints. See how they all turn blue? So now I can hide these. So if you're utilizing a lot of view sheets, you can now group them, and you just right click on a group and make them. So here's a new view sheet. I could make a new group here once I name this group 2. So this is a new group. So I can go to new group here. And this is going to be group 2. Oops, and I already have it named that. So I renamed it to outside. So now I have that group in there. I can group to outside, and it pops it in there. So now when I click on these, I can expand them out or I can shrink them back. There's the group. If I click on that one, there they are. I can click on it again, it shrinks. So that's going to be highly useful for a lot of people. People used to have view sheets all the way along the bottom and they couldn't see half of them. So this is going to hopefully shrink a lot of that stuff up where they can just group it and then open up them groups, which is a really nice change in my opinion. As far as, saving this out, so I'm going to go back to this part here. What you can do to get this out so you can read it on the phone, kind of like how I showed you the 3D PDF reader on your phone or a different, a tablet or a different computer, is you can go File, Save Some. And let's say I select this whole thing and I end selection. What I can do here is I can go down to 3D PDF files and save this file as a 3D PDF, and that is where you can send that file out to anybody that has a viewer on their phone or on a tablet or wherever they want to view this. So that's the process of how you're going to get there as far as that phone app and stuff like that. So that's how you would save that file out. If I go to my toolpaths here, so this used to be you used to have to hold down right click and drag, and you still have that option. Otherwise now I can do a left click and drag and drop, and you're going to get the same options as moving and copying. And you're also going to have the option for cancel now, just to say, you know what, I don't want to move anything, get me out of here, I screwed up. So left click now works. Once again, not a big change. I never understood why it was just right click. So they did update that, give us something a little new there. As far as our toolpaths parameter page, as I said, that has changed. That's one of the big changes in the toolpaths that you're going to see is this page here has changed. Now, is there anything different? No. All the functionality is exactly the same in here, just laid out a little different. And the reason for this was give more room up in this area so you could put more information up here. We had that tiny white box where you couldn't see half of the information you wanted to see, so it just laid out a little different. Everything else here is the same, so there's really nothing for me to talk about here. And your apply button. Your apply button used to be up here. It is now here. So if you apply any changes, or update a lead in and lead out, it is in the apply button, and that's what will show that. So that has changed. So if I create a quick line on my screen so we could see this a little easier. And let's say I'm doing 90-degree sweep-ins. So I'm just going to lead in like that. What I can do is I could change this to a 20 degrees and a 200% line length, and I can apply that, and now it has updated on my screen. So that's where that button is now, if you were wondering. A couple other changes that we have here. The wireframe switch, I'm going to pop up a different level here. And I'm going to get rid of my geometry there. So previously, these switches down on the bottom are plane switches, and the 3D switch were not live. So I'm in a situation here where I have this part with this angled face. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just draw a circle here, a three-point circle. And as I look at this, you know, it's kind of over my part. It's out into space. Well, I really want to lay this on this surface. So that's not going to work. But if I come back and redo this, and I pick this, pick this, pick this, what I can do is I can come down to my planes now. And maybe I go to my planes, and I go to angled face, let's say, and I go 2D. Now you're seeing that it flattened it out on that face. Now, as soon as I switched that, it went away because of some switches I have in Mastercam. But by taking that arc out into space, now I can flatten it out onto any plane I want right on the fly. Now I have to stay in this dialog box here. I can't get out and then change it. But that is something to take note. A little change. Once again, you can change planes on the fly. You can also switch it to 3D to 2D, depending on what you're doing there. So there's that same arc flattened out on that angled face. And if I go to my planes and view that, there it is, normal to that face. So little change, but you know, can really help some people out if they are in them specific situations. So, and that's just a little bit on the wireframe, just a couple little things that changed there. Go back to my levels here. In dimensions, so dimensions got quite a bit of change here as far as aligning. So up here we have align note, and it's going to prompt us here. It's going to say select notes, labels, and dimensions to align. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that one, and then I want to align to this one. And we can do different alignments here if we want. You know, your notes are what you picked, and then you have a reference note of where it was. You didn't see much change there, so let me go back, and I'm going to say that one. And I don't think I can actually do that one because should be able to. Let's try this again here. And there we go. So it's a new kind of a new feature here that is a little more tricky, but you've seen how it went up there. Now let me go back and let's reproduce this. So I want to move that, and I want to move it to there. So for some reason it didn't grab that. And let's align to there. So that one is a little clunky to this point. We'll grab that one and that one. And there we go. So Once again, I kind of trapped myself here. Obviously, I couldn't do a horizontal alignment, so I needed to go to vertical. So let me reverse again, and I'm going to say I'm going to pick that one. I want to go to that one. Horizontally, I can't do that right now, but if I go to vertical and click on top, now you see that my dimension updated and aligned these two in order here. So that's really where that's going. You could do multiple entities, and as I got trapped, just watch out for them settings. You always pick the one you want, where I'm aligning to, and obviously you're going to have to have an option here where it can align to. When you're in horizontal, the way I was doing it, obviously you're not going to have that option. So keep that in mind for a little bit of dimensioning. Not a ton of change here, but a little bit of change. So hopefully makes that a little easier for you. As far as Verify goes, Verify does have some enhancements. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab the first tool path here, and I'm going to go ahead and go into Verify. And let me see what I got here. And I'm going to do a quick stock setup here since we were messing with that earlier. And I'll get myself into Verify here. I'm going to go ahead and let this rough out. There should just be an OptiRough on this part. All right, so we just have an OptiRough here. So one change here is what we can do is we can leave this screen up. And I can go back to my Mastercam screen. So to visualize this out a little bit, just going to shrink this up here. And what I'm going to do is hit the drop down next to Verify. So the drop down next to Verify has two options: add to current verification or verify selected machine group. So if you have multiple machine groups, you can just say go and verify the selected machine group, do the whole thing, or you can add to the current verification without getting out of verification and coming back in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click what I want, and I'm going to add this one. And I'm going to go ahead and add to current simulation. And I'm going to go ahead and replay this. Now my first op's going to run. And then I'm going to get my second op that I picked there. So this is just really a nice change. So as you program, you don't have to get out of Verify and come back in. You can just add as you're going. So in this case here, I did my OptiRough, and maybe in that case I added my spot drilling or my center drilling operations, and I want to see what it looks like. I can just go ahead and select it and then add to the current verification, and then it updates. All I have to do is rewind and replay it through. So that is a pretty nice switch. One thing in here that is useful are these clipping planes up here on top. So if we do like a, in this case we'll do a YZ, and what this allows you to do is you can grab this and I can drag this clipping plane. So I can drag it up, and maybe if I want to look through like half a part, now I can see through that counter bore or that hole or whatever. So then you just left click on these and you can drag them wherever you want. So that is something that is pretty cool. I think that has some use for me specifically. This isn't a new function, but it's very useful for a lot of people to be able to go and analyze how your tool is doing inside of a part without splitting it in half. It's just kind of on the fly there. And then the other minor change here is your stop conditions. You have some settings in here that weren't there before. Instead of going all the way back through File, they are now put on the front end here for you. So keep that in mind right here. So in our verify page collision checking, now you can turn it on and off right here once again, so you don't have to go through File Options to get there. They are no longer there. They are on the front side now, so you'll have to come through here. And anytime you see a little word with a little arrow, it's all your options are going to be in there. So that's our verify changes. Not a lot of changes, but add to verify is pretty cool, as we can see here, and that's just drop down. So if you're looking for it, there it is. Only other little change here would be planes. Any dynamic planes that you make, you can now have them associative. Not a big change, but associate to the origin or associate to the orientation. So you didn't have them options previous. Now you have them for custom dynamic planes. And anytime you're associative, if that associativity moves, your plane is going to move with it. So if you are in some situations where that comes into play, maybe that'll be a good switch for you. And that about wraps it up for workflow and design enhancements. Like I said, some of these are great for a lot of people, and some of the other ones a lot of people probably won't use too much, but it's just always trying to help you out with workflow and design with the little things that usually help. So hopefully you could take some out of this, and thank you for watching our video. And if you have any questions, you can always contact Prototech at 952-361-5598. And thank you.